What's up guys, Dirk here from Intelligent Cryptocurrency. In today's video, I want to address a common question that I get asked a lot, especially by people who are newer to cryptocurrencies. And that question is basically, when you're buying altcoins, should you look at the Bitcoin altcoin pairing or should you look at the fiat currency? So the US dollar or the euro pairing, let's stick to US dollars in this case. Should you look at the Bitcoin pairing or the fiat pairing? And what are the reasons and the benefits for both cases? If you're new to the channel, my name is Dirk. Welcome. Consider subscribing to the channel below. Click that notification bell. It's completely free and you'll get updates of future videos, no BS crypto content, tutorials, technical analysis, and all that good stuff. So all you got to do, click subscribe, hit that notification bell. All right. So how should you buy your altcoins? How should you trade Bitcoins versus altcoins or fiat versus altcoins? What is better? More Bitcoin or more fiat? And before we get into the benefits and understanding, exactly the technical aspects of that, which we'll do in a second, you need to understand what are your goals, because the answer to the question of whether you should use Bitcoin or fiat to purchase your altcoins and to measure your profits depends on your personal preferences, right? So as an example, let's say Bob believes that fiat currency is going to die. Okay, he sees what's happening in history. Fiat currencies always end up going to zero. We look at Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Argentina, and so on and so forth. What happens the more central banks print currencies, the purchasing power just ultimately goes lower and lower towards zero until there is a reset and the currency dies, right? That's happened in history. And Bob believes, with what's been happening, and especially this year with all the currency printing, fiat currency is going to zero. So he doesn't care about fiat. All he cares about is Bitcoin. He believes in it as sound money. It's verifiably scarce. It's backed by math, by computer code. Central banks can't print more of it, and so on and so forth. I'm not going to get into the pros of Bitcoin right here. But basically, Bob believes that Bitcoin is the future. And as time goes on, fiat currency is only going to get worth less. And Bitcoin is going to continue to get more valuable because of its scarcity. More people are going to buy it. So the coins that they're the decrease in purchasing power, Bitcoin is just going to go up in US dollar value over time. So all that Bob cares about is increasing his Bitcoin stash, getting as many Bitcoins as possible. Bob doesn't believe in selling Bitcoin. He's just going to keep accumulating because he thinks, in future, a Bitcoin is going to be able to buy you a house and then maybe way down the line a boat or a jet or whatever the case. Basically, Bitcoin goes up in value and Bob just wants as many Bitcoins as possible. So what Bob should be doing is thinking or trading in terms of Bitcoins and altcoins, and he uses the Bitcoin altcoin pairings to be able to measure his profits in Bitcoin. So his strategy would be, for example, to put one Bitcoin into an altcoin and to have that altcoin increase in value relative to Bitcoin, so that when he trades that altcoin back to Bitcoin, it turns into 1.5 Bitcoin or 2 Bitcoin or 3 Bitcoin. Okay, so that is the Bitcoin altcoin pairing. But then there is Harry. And Harry is completely the opposite. He doesn't care about, holding Bitcoins forever. He's not too concerned with the value and the purchasing power of fiat currency, whatever is going to happen in the future. The case is right now, you're still using your dollars and euros, your fiat, to buy houses and cars and pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. So Harry just cares about increasing his net worth in fiat terms. So if he puts in $1,000, he wants to get back 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. Okay, you get the point. He doesn't care about how many Bitcoins he has, because all he cares about is cash in and increasing the cash out amount. Okay, so Harry should be thinking and trading in terms of the fiat altcoin pairings. He should be looking at, how many dollars is an Ethereum worth, right? An Ether worth. How many dollars is a XRP token worth? How many dollars is a Litecoin token worth? And so on and so forth. He doesn't care about the Bitcoin pairing value of that. So those are basically your two options. And for you, you need to decide for yourself, who are you more like? Are you more like Bob, that believes only in Bitcoin and just getting as many as possible? Or are you more like Harry and you don't really care about, what's going to happen in 5 or 10 or 20 years from now? All you care about now is making more than you put in, right? So you put in 1,000 and you want to turn it into 5 or 10,000. So those are pretty much your two options. So let's head over into TradingView and I'll show you an example on the chart so you can actually get more of a feel for what I'm talking about. Alright, so for the easiest example that I can give you, let's just use Ethereum. So Ether versus the US dollar. or versus Bitcoin. Okay, and with most cryptocurrencies, there will be a BTC pairing. So you either get a fiat pairing, which is not always available for every single cryptocurrency. If it is a new cryptocurrency, if it's small, it's unknown, it's just launched, there might not necessarily be a US dollar or USDT pairing or anything like that. But with the bigger ones, like for example Ethereum, there is of course the USD pairing on exchanges, or USDT, pretty much the same thing, USDC. So we're basically looking at fiat or stablecoin value and the Bitcoin value. So quite simply, the Ether US dollar value over here is currently $645. That means for 1 ETH, you need to pay $645. So all that you care about if you are looking on this chart is that the price of ETH relative to the US dollar goes up. So we want this to go to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, you know, and we put in whatever amount that we want. So whether we put in, you know, $500 and buy 1 ETH or half a ETH, or you buy 100 ETH, however much money you have. This is not about risk management or anything like that, and obviously not financial advice, but whatever you put in, all that you care about is that it goes up. So you want to be looking at this chart, and then you can apply your technical analysis to this chart, right? So if for whatever reason you believe in Ether and you think it's going to get more valuable, you know, and you draw your lines and you find your patterns or whatever it is that you want to do, and you think, for example, you know, let's just say it's going to go and retest this $800 level, well, then, you know, you're going to buy into ETH at 645. And if it goes to 800, you can take profit, and you've increased your initial capital. You can cash that back out, and you can go and buy some nice stuff with that. You can go for dinner, whatever the case is, right? Obviously, in this case, if you were to invest at 645 and it drops, it means you're at a loss on paper. And obviously, if you cash out, you realize that loss, right? So pretty much very, very simple. Now, with Ethereum, Bitcoin, it's basically exactly the same, but instead of thinking in US dollars, you start by investing Bitcoin, not US dollars, and your ultimate goal is to increase that Bitcoin value. So it works in the same way. So with the ETH US dollar, let's say you put in $1,000. Here, let's just say for example purposes, let's put in 1 Bitcoin. And obviously you can put in 0.1 or however much you want, but just for the example, I'm going to say 1 Bitcoin. So that means we just want this number to go up. We want this chart to go up, where it's Ethereum relative to Bitcoin's performance. Now that doesn't take into consideration any fiat value. In fact, the price of Bitcoin and Ethereum could both drop by 50%, but Ethereum relative to Bitcoin could still go up even when the price is dropping, right? Because this is just about the Bitcoin and Ethereum ratio. It does not care about the US dollar fiat value. So that's the nice thing if you believe in collecting more Bitcoin from your trading pairs. It doesn't really matter what the fiat pairing, the US dollar value is doing, right? So as long as this goes up from your entry point, let's say you buy in at 0.028, you put in 1 Bitcoin, if this doubles, right? And let's just do something here, for example, let's just say it does 100%. Over here roughly, that means we're looking about 0.55. So if it were to do that, if it were to go to 0.55, your 1 Bitcoin would turn into 2 Bitcoin. You could sell your Ethereum back into Bitcoin, and there you have it. You have doubled your Bitcoin holding. So that's very, very cool. Now, of course, like I said, that doesn't take into account the actual fiat value. So right now, Bitcoin is trading at $23,000. But even if Bitcoin were to drop back to 10,000, if this ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin was still to increase to 0.55, even if the price of Bitcoin drops back to 10,000, you could still double your Bitcoin from 1 Bitcoin to 2 Bitcoin, right? So that's what I'm saying. You're looking at the Bitcoin pairing chart, and it's very simple. So these, and with this, you have to pretty much take into consideration also the Bitcoin dominance, right? So that's another chart over here. I've shown this many times. It's basically the relationship between Bitcoin as a percentage of the complete cryptocurrency market cap. And if Bitcoin is going up in dominance, it means the altcoins are going down, which means the Bitcoin altcoin pairings are most likely to continue going down. So you can use this Bitcoin dominance chart to help you determine entry points in altcoins against Bitcoin, so that you can hopefully find profitable entry points and increase your Bitcoin holdings, right? So when this is moving higher, you're ideally not looking to purchase any altcoin against Bitcoin, because it means it's probably going to continue lower. But once we start seeing this, right, this was the big move when Bitcoin lost dominance in 2017 and altcoins really pumped. Well, if you can find out on this chart and you can use it to help guide you for entry points, the same at this point, well, at this point, it would be more beneficial, most likely for most altcoins, to be able to sell your Bitcoin into altcoins, because Bitcoin loses dominance, altcoins outperform relative to Bitcoin, and it means if you would sell your Bitcoin and buy it back, then you increase your Bitcoin holdings, right? So going back to the Ethereum Bitcoin chart over here, it's a similar thing. So this is the daily chart, right? If you were at this point to sell your Bitcoin into Ethereum and you were to sell it back into Bitcoin at this point, well, you would have made a huge gain, right? So we can measure that. Let's just say somewhere over here, you decided to sell all your Bitcoin into Ethereum. And at this point over here, you were to sell all of your Ethereum back into Bitcoin, you could see you would have 3x'd your holdings, meaning, you know, 1 Bitcoin could have turned into as much as 3 Bitcoin, and that's how you can play to increase your Bitcoin stash, and obviously you're trading in between. Now, both have pros and cons, right? It depends, like I said, what are your goals? Do you want to accumulate as much Bitcoin as possible? Well, then you want to be looking at the Bitcoin pairings, because that's going to allow you to increase your Bitcoin relative to altcoins. But if you don't care about that and all you care about is making as much money as possible compared to how much you put in, that you're planning to cash out and use in the real world or reinvest or put towards your retirement pay off your mortgage, whatever it is, then you should be looking at the US dollar or the fiat pairings against altcoins. So hopefully this was something that gave you more clarity. It can be a little bit of a confusing topic, but once you dig into it, the concepts are pretty straightforward. There's Bob or there's Harry. Do you believe in Bitcoin for the long term, or do you just want to increase your fiat holdings? And depending on that, you can choose which pairings to use. So if you did enjoy this, please smash the like button, absolutely destroy it. It helps the algorithm. Leave a comment if you have any questions, anything that you don't understand. I'd be happy to explain it further. If I missed anything, be happy to answer. And for the rest, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It's completely free. Click that notification bell. You'll get future updates. And I will see you in the next video. Peace.